Hey guys, Tan from LET Research. I want to show you the 15-minute chart of the S&P 500. Again, today is the 1st of December 2025, Monday. The time is 10:02 a.m. The market is down slightly by 0.29%. I'm going to cover three charts. First one is the S&P 500. Second one is a broad NASDAQ composite. And lastly, with the Apple chart. Okay, so zoom out here. We see the gaps filled in the white boxes. We got it was down this morning, and it looks like it's bouncing at that range there. Okay, I thought I had seen the gap, but it may have been filled up. There's this tiny gap there in November. I think it's insignificant compared to the others. All right, cyan is the color for the VIX. It is at 17. It was 16 from last Friday. This is 15-minute chart again. Bullish percentage of the S&P 500 in purple. I drew a green line above the previous high points. 1, 2. So this is considered lower high, and it's clear it's above the middle high. Hopefully it's gonna come back to exceed that level soon. It looks like it. All right, so that's the 15-minute chart. We go to the weekly chart of the S&P 500. An interesting phenomenon here. We got the histogram below the zero line, and then it seemed to flatten out a little bit. RSI is still in the upper 50% range, so it's healthy. All right, weekly chart for, well, I'll use SPY here to represent the S&P 500. Probably the most heavily traded symbol out there. We got the first candlestick for the week right there as I bubble around it. So last week we had a full body of the candlestick, so that's a pretty good sign there. Okay. Okay, zoom out, you can see that's the April low. That's a great comeback from the 479. Can you believe that? And now is that near, I would say, in the high 600. So the R2 is going to be the next target. I don't think it's going to go to the R1. Okay, the pivot neutral line is way down here. It's impossible to go down that far, to go back to the April, not anytime soon, knock on wood. Okay, so that's the S&P 500, the broader NASDAQ composite, and I drew in two lines. This line is over these 2 points. This line is over these 2 points. So far this week, the candlestick, again, this is just Monday, is still above the trend lines. Okay. So maybe let's go to that pivot line, and then it's gonna bounce up to the resistor 1, which is the direction towards the 24,000. I hope. All right, so the NASDAQ composite. However, be warned, guys. As soon as the come back from the April low on the far left here, we exhibit a gap around May. I think it was induced by much of the Microsoft gain or momentum. So beware of that gap as a bottom for next year. Okay, I don't know when. I would say either could be in April or October. So these 2 months have the tax days around the 15th, right? April 15th, April 15th, October 15th. So watch out for those 2 months. All right, let's lastly look at the Apple hourly chart first. I have the gray color zone for the consolidation. It is above the upper limit. And I drew the pattern of the green and red colors for the circles. The red line is the 200-hour moving average. So if it hits that, it's a buy. For now, let's see where it's going to take it. RSI is heading back up to the 50% range. Okay, this is the hourly chart for the VIX and the bullish percentage of the S&P 500. They sort of inversely proportional to each other. All right, Apple does have a gap or two gaps, one near the 255, one near the 216. To me, I think all gaps should be filled. Let's quickly look at the daily chart. Blue lines indicate the overbought region. That could be a sell point. So the activity is above the new pivot lines, which is this one. R1 is possible target, maybe R2. Gap is still down here. All previous gaps have been filled. And as you know that Apple is out of the massive big cup. That took a long time. Weekly chart of Apple. I put the University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment Survey here to sort of give me a track indicator. So it's at the low point, 50.3 as of last month. MACD is pretty high. It's still positive. The histogram is still strong. So the net between these two curves are still wide. All right, the blue lines there for the channel, and the arrow points to the end of the year. Hopefully it's going to get past the 285, I think, hopefully. All right, and that was the weekly chart. Quickly go to the monthly, quarterly, and yearly. This is the monthly chart. Trend looks good. Pivot lines, again, I put the note here for the IBD SPY point. They recommended to buy Apple at 277. This is that first candlestick for December. It starts slow. That's which I like. And it might grow over time. Don't forget we get December 10th for the Fed meeting for the final possible cut of a quarter point. Confidence level is about 80%. Another news that Trump might announce a new Fed chairman before Christmas. Okay. And also the witching day is the third Friday of December. A lot of options, a lot of equity will expire, a lot of future will expire. Okay, so that's monthly, quarterly chart for Apple. Looks healthy there. The yellow line is the R1 of the pivot, at 285 sort of. And finally we have the yearly chart, okay, for Apple. Okay, so I suspect next year is going to be a volatile year because of midterm election. So something might take back. We'll see. All right, so let's go back to the hourly chart of Apple. And it's still in the red a little bit there. All right, guys. I like Apple because this is probably one of the most difficult stock to track. But Apple, Nvidia, and Google or Alphabet, those three take up about 1/3 of the price action of the NASDAQ composite. And I chose Apple because it has a pretty good ecosystem. And the new iPhone 17 is gonna be the next cycle or the next hardware and software integration. And I think it's gonna take about 4 years to saturate this new cycle. So I'm game for the next 4 years on Apple. Of course, I look at Google as well. It's kind of hot right now. But however, their PE is pretty low compared to Apple, which is about 37.5 right now. Be careful. Their trail 12-month earning per share could go to $8.05 before the end of this month. And that will soften the PE maybe a little bit back to 35 to 35 point something is a neutral. It might move between 30 and 40, I think. So when it gets to 40, is a possible sell point. Okay, 30 is obviously a possible buy point. So it will fluctuate next year. So be careful. We'll do another report. Again, this is for entertainment, and please do your due diligence on SP 500 QQQ or NASDAQ Composite or even Apple. Please do all that before you refer to my recommendation. Okay, until next time, we'll do this at least once a month, especially the weekend after the previous month is over or the first trading day of the new month. Good luck, everybody, and Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and we'll see you next year. This is Tan from MIT Research. Please like and subscribe. I appreciate it. Thanks. Bye for now.